In the past 36 months, China has executed 7 separate escalations of export controls on materials that are irreplaceable in Western defense, technology, and clean energy systems. Gallium, essential to the radar of every F-35 fighter. Terbium and dysprosium, the rare earth elements inside the magnets that steer every precision-guided missile in the NATO arsenal. Tungsten, in armor-piercing rounds. Indium, in the screen of every smartphone and the cells of every solar panel. The mainstream narrative calls all of this trade tensions. 2 summits between Trump and Xi have produced warm statements and temporary suspensions. But here is what the data shows. China's April 2025 controls on 7 heavy rare earth elements, the ones that actually matter to defense manufacturing, have never been suspended. Chinese exports of terbium and dysprosium are running 50% below pre-restriction levels as of today. The war is not paused, it is calibrated. Every Western government report on this issue uses the same language. Trade tensions, supply chain diversification challenges, easing concerns. None of them use the word that the data actually supports. Map the sequence. 7 separate escalations across 36 months, each targeting a different critical node in Western defense and industrial infrastructure. Gallium, semiconductors and radar. Terbium and dysprosium, missile guidance and EV motors. Tungsten, armor-piercing ammunition. Indium, displays and solar cells. Graphite, energy storage. Antimony, flame retardants and ammunition primers. And in October 2025, extraterritorial controls that would have required export licenses from any manufacturer anywhere in the world using Chinese origin materials. Even products made in Germany or South Korea. That is not a trade policy. That is a siege. If this kind of analysis is useful to you, subscribe. We publish new scenarios and data breakdowns every week. China's dominance in critical mineral processing was not accidental. It was the product of a deliberate, decades-long industrial strategy that the rest of the world helped fund through its own consumption choices. By 2025, China was the leading refiner for 19 of 20 strategically important minerals, with an average market share of 70% across all of them. And in July 2023, 3 days after the Netherlands announced expanded restrictions on ASML chip-making equipment exports to China, Beijing announced export licensing requirements for gallium and germanium. The timing was not coincidental. The campaign had begun. What followed was methodical. Graphite in October 2023. Antimony in September 2024. The direct U.S. entity ban in December 2024. The first time China had explicitly named a country as a target in an export control notice. Tungsten, indium, bismuth, and molybdenum in February 2025. 7 heavy rare earth elements in April 2025. The extraterritorial expansion in October 2025, then suspended but built. 7 escalations, each targeting a different vector, each calibrated. None of them coincidental. Today, China's export control architecture is in a state of managed suspension. The December 2024 U.S. ban on gallium and germanium has been lifted until November 27, 2026. The sweeping October 2025 extraterritorial controls are paused until November 10th. But the April 2025 licensing requirements on the 7 heavy rare earth elements that matter most to defense manufacturing have never been suspended. They are active now. And Chinese customs data shows exports of terbium and dysprosium running approximately 50% below their pre-restriction baseline levels. Gallium prices are trading at more than 200% above their 2024 baseline. Western buyers of germanium are paying approximately $5,800 per kilogram in U.S. warehouses. The domestic Chinese price is around $2,400. That gap is the cost of the export control regime. It persists even during the suspension. Even the general licenses China has begun issuing explicitly, excluding defense and aerospace applications. An F-35 component manufacturer cannot use a general commercial license to source terbium for radar magnet applications. The military application of the siege has not eased. It has been dressed in civilian packaging. Meanwhile, Australia, one of the world's major alternative rare earth producers, ordered Chinese investors to divest their stakes in domestic Australian rare earth mining operations just this month. If this analysis changed how you see the situation, hit like. It helps other people find this kind of independent coverage. The most operationally significant date in the global supply chain calendar right now is not a trade deadline or a summit communiqué. It is November 2026, when all of China's suspended export controls expire simultaneously. At that point, absent a further negotiated extension, the US-specific ban re-implements, and the extraterritorial controls, requiring licenses for any manufacturer anywhere using Chinese-origin rare earth materials, come into force globally. The IEA estimates that full re-implementation would impose approximately $6.5 trillion in annual economic costs on the global economy. Washington has responded with a $10 billion strategic stockpile called Project Vault, a new minerals alliance called Forge, and MP Materials is now commissioning a heavy rare earth separation facility. These are real responses. But the timelines are honest. No alternative supply chain reaches industrial independence before 2027 to 2028 at the earliest. The siege runs until then. The November 2026 deadline arrives first. 2 summits. 7 escalations. 0 rollbacks of the controls that matter to Western defense manufacturing. The CSIS assessment, days ago, called it directly. China is not a reliable mineral supply partner during periods of geopolitical tension. The next test of that assessment arrives in November 2026, when every suspended control comes up for renewal simultaneously. China will have a choice: extend the suspension, let the controls reimpose, or demand something in return. The answer to that question will determine whether the past 36 months of quiet war have been a demonstration of capability, or the opening phase of something larger.